I'm Will Ortner. This is Seahawks Today, and we need to discuss some big-time things around our Seattle Seahawks because I believe that General Manager John Schneider is going to find the best fit for the Seattle Seahawks in the 2026 NFL Draft. Does that mean that player will be at 32? No, not necessarily. Does that mean that that player is going to be in a position of need? Right now, edge rusher, cornerback, running back, 3 big-time positions that the Seahawks need to find players to come in and fill. Is that necessarily where John Schneider is going to go? We're going to be talking about all of that on today's program because I believe that John Schneider has earned our trust, but I also believe that it's important for us to try and look between the leaves, try and read the tea leaves, if you will, try and see if we can figure out a reason or a player that John Schneider could be going after. There are 5 players that we're going to talk about on today's program that all have links to the Seahawks. Before we do that, though, make sure that you follow me on social media. Yesterday, we went through Dane Brugler's big board, and you don't want to miss out on any of the information that we have there. We literally go the top players all the way from 11 down to 35. All guys that could end up in Seattle, all guys that could be big-time performers for the Seahawks. We dive into all of that. We break it all down, talk to you about the things and information that you need to know. You follow me over on X, you'll be alerted when I post one of those videos. You don't want to miss out on that. So give me that follow at Will Ortner. Let's talk about Kayden McDonald. I cannot believe that I'm going to talk about McDonald on today's program because he's not in a position of need for the Seahawks. He is not someone that plays edge. He plays defensive tackle. In fact, he plays nose guard as well. There's no reason why the Seahawks should want McDonald, right? He's not someone that they need. They already have Byron Murphy. They have Jaron Reed. They already have Leonard Williams. Riley Mills, I think, is going to be a star. Brandon Peely, Mike Morris. All those guys are already there. So why'd this picture come out? This comes to us from Kayden McDonald's Instagram. That's Renton. That's Seattle. That's the practice facility where the Seahawks go and work out and do their off-season programs and in-season programs. What is he doing in Renton? Well, he was a top 30 visit guy for the Seattle Seahawks. So let's dive into the scouting report, shall we? He's a plug-and-play nose tackle. Is unbelievable against the run. Still has to kind of work and figure out some of his pass rushing ability. But I'd also say that when you look at the stats for McDonald and you look at everything that he's been able to do, remember what conference he played in. He played in the damn Big Ten. And it's not like the Big Ten is necessarily known for having the best skill players, but what the Big Ten is known for having is big, strong, physical, interior, defensive, and offensive linemen. Well, McDonald fills that role. He's great against the run, and he's going to get better against the pass. I truly believe that. He was someone who last year was a unanimous All-American. He was someone who was the Big Ten Defensive Lineman of the Year in a talent-rich defensive line conference. He's the first-team All-Big Ten guy and essentially dominated in every game against most teams that he played against. He is someone that, in my personal opinion, could come in to this Seahawks team and start the next generation. Now, this is something that I find interesting because my guy Samuel Forsyth, he says that he wants the best need player available. When I look at McDonald, we do not need him necessarily right now, but we may need him later on down the line. What the Seahawks could be doing here, and John Schneider kind of talked about this in his interview that he did with Albert Breer that we broke down on the channel. He was someone that is looking to try and make a move or two before he needs to make the moves. Last time the Seahawks had a dynasty, Schneider made the moves he thought he needed to make in the moment. Now he's trying to play chess, not checkers. He's trying to put himself in a position to where you don't need an interior defensive lineman necessarily for 2026. You might in 27 or in 28. Leonard Williams and Jaron Reed are getting older. There's a chance that they might potentially retire. or move on to somewhere else. If they do end up doing that, well, this is a perfect guy to step into this role. It also allows you to start moving around Byron Murphy a little bit more. Right now, Byron Murphy's kind of locked in at that nose spot. But remember, when he was originally drafted, he was a guy that could play that 3 technique, that D tackle spot. He was a guy who, if you really want him to, he can play that 4-eye technique to a degree that you have Leonard Williams there right now. So could potentially McDonald be the sneaky target that the Seahawks go and draft and end up replacing someone 2 years down the line? And right now he gets to learn from them. Hit that subscribe button. That was easy for me to say. When you hit that sub button, here's what you're going to get. A ton of Seahawks news and rumors content here on the channel. Plus, the NFL draft. It is just 2 weeks away. We're going to be live for it. You don't want to miss out on that. You hit that sub button, you'll be hanging out with us. Next, let's talk about another player that came in and visited the Seattle Seahawks because my guy Deadpool says, no defensive tackles, please. Mason Thomas. He had a top 30 visit with the Seattle Seahawks. Edge rusher out of Oklahoma. Slightly undersized, but I'm telling you right now, he is a fascinating product for the Seattle Seahawks because I believe that he is going to be a good player in the National Football League. Really athletic, very agile. He's got great acceleration, great bend around the corner. Now, he's a little bit more of a true blue edge rusher, and that's not exactly what Mike Macdonald wants, but I will say that someone who can rush the edge, gets after the quarterback, wins a lot of his pass rush sets, kind of sounds like Boye Mafe. Now, Thomas has had a very successful career, took a slight step back, but did have to deal with some injuries in the 25 season compared to 24. We know that he has been coached up very well. We know that he has been taught how to play an incredible brand of defense because he played at Oklahoma for Brett Venables. This is someone who can have a lot of success in the National Football League. When we look at the Seahawks edge room, there is a very clear lack of one person. There is a clear lack of some production that Seattle lost with Boye Mafe. Now, I'm not saying that Jamie Sheriff or Ivy or O'Toole are not going to be able to come in and have success in maybe a growing role. But if Seattle looks at the guys that they have in there and they say, hey, we want to add one more body into this mix, well, I think it should be Mason Thomas, and I want him in Seattle. I understand that he isn't the ideal fit necessarily for what Mike Macdonald wants to do. We've also seen Mike Macdonald take a lot of guys who aren't the ideal fit and make them an ideal fit for his defense because he's great at morphing what he wants to do. Nick Eamon-Warry is not the ideal fit for safety. Nick Eamon-Warry is the ideal fit for Mike Macdonald's defense because Mike Macdonald lets Nick Eamon-Warry play to his strengths, which is being a better athlete, a freakish athlete compared to everyone else in the National Football League. Nick Eamon-Warry works perfectly with Mike Macdonald. And I think that Mason Thomas could be kind of the same thing with the Seahawks. Now, I'm not saying he's Defensive Rookie of the Year caliber because that's what Nick Eamon-Warry is. But I do think he works in this defense. Make sure that you go get your Seahawks Today merch. I'm telling you right now, speaking of ideal fits, these T-shirts, man, they hug your biceps, but they don't hug your belly. You can get the Champions gear as well. Here's the cool thing about that kind of stuff. We've got hoodies as well as T-shirts. It's still cold in certain parts of the country. You can go get that hoodie, keep yourself nice and warm. Got the mob mentality as well. All of these, super easy to go and get. All you got to do, go down in the comment section or the description of today's video. You click the link. It'll take you right to our website. You pick whatever you want. Go and purchase it, and we'll make sure that we get you a shout-out on a future show. Back to our draft intel. Let's talk about Mike Washington Jr., shall we? A lot of Seahawk fans are very interested in the running back out of Arkansas. Big, strong running back, very fast, ran a 4.3 over at the Combine. Someone that I think has an unlimited potential. Someone that is untapped in my personal opinion. He's got an ability and an innate ability, in my opinion, to find the open hole and really explode through it. Now, you still got to work on his ability to catch the ball in the backfield, so that would limit him potentially, not allowing Washington to be someone that the Seahawks lean on or look to help this team and help this roster on like third downs. But that's also something that can be worked on. Now, when we look at the last 4 seasons for Washington, he has continued to get better and better every single season, and he's also gone up in competition. MAC competition at Buffalo is a little bit different than everything that New Mexico State was facing, and that's clearly very different than what he was facing over at Arkansas in the SEC. Right now, when I look at the Seahawks backfield, I'm not here to discount George Holani. I'm not here to discount Kenny McIntosh or Emmanuel Wilson or even Zach Charbonnet. But right now, there is not really that true blue explosive gets away from opposing defenders type of a guy. Holani, he can hit that second level and he can get loose, but he's going to get run down. So is Emmanuel Wilson. And with Zach Charbonnet and Kenny McIntosh, they're both coming off ACL tears. So I'm going to leave the jury out on that one. Zach Charbonnet couldn't get away from guys last season, and that was when he was 100% healthy. So I don't want to say anything there. Like Charbonnet a lot. He runs very physically, but right now, Seattle is missing that true blue get away from the opposing defenders. If I get into the second level, I'm going to be gone. Now, Kenny McIntosh can be that guy. Potentially, we know for sure that Washington Jr. can be that guy. A lot of Seahawks fans love Mike Washington Jr. or Mike Washington Jr. It'll be very interesting to see if Seattle decides to go after him. I don't think he is a round 1 pick. I think he's a round 2 pick over at 64. Hit the thumbs up button if you love the Seattle Seahawks and if you want the Seahawks to go and get Mike Washington Jr. Now, let's talk about the guy that kind of confused there a little bit. Chris Johnson, San Diego State cornerback. He's someone that came in and had a top 30 visit with the Seattle Seahawks. All the guys on this list today, by the way, top 30 visit guys. Chris Johnson is someone who had a lot of success in the Mountain West. He is someone that's been heavily linked to the Seattle Seahawks. He is someone that is more than likely going to be available at pick 32. He would also be more than likely available if the Seattle Seahawks did decide to end up trading back in the draft. What I find interesting about Johnson is he's not afraid to tackle. He's also someone who is afraid to take on, or not afraid, I should say, to take on a much more difficult matchup. He is someone that I think would fit very well with the Seahawks, and he's also great at going after footballs that are thrown that can be intercepted. Right now, the Seahawks, they are lacking that true ball hawking player in their secondary. It felt like Kobe Bryant was that guy. I don't believe that there is another guy that's necessarily filling that role. I believe that Devin Witherspoon does an incredible job of making big plays and getting tackles, but the interception numbers aren't necessarily there. Same thing with Josh Jobe. Julian Love does a good job of playing that center field, but again, not a ton of interceptions. Same thing with Nicky Manwari. These are not things that are saying that these guys won't get interceptions or can't get interceptions, but I believe that Johnson is specifically built to go and get those big turnovers. Second team All-American, Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year, and of course was first team All-Mountain West. Definitely someone that I think the Seahawks should at least kick the tires on drafting at pick number 32, because that is where he's more than likely going to be. I do want to ask you, though, down in the comment section, be honest. Do you think that the Seahawks should draft Chris Johnson at pick number 32? Yes or no? Let me know what your personal opinion is on that. I believe that he would be a great addition to this squad. Last guy, let's talk about the cornerback from Georgia, Daylen Everette. This kid is fascinating. He's another guy who was probably a day 2 guy, potentially even a day 3 guy, although that would be a bit surprising. When I look at Everett, I think that he is a very strong corner, and he is someone that can definitely grow into being a very good corner for the Seattle Seahawks. Definitely someone who's not afraid to be super physical with opposing defenders or opposing offensive wide receivers, something that I don't have any real issue with. Took a slight step back this year at Georgia, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I'm telling you right now, another guy not afraid to make a lot of tackles, someone who's not afraid to throw his body out there and not afraid to put his body on the line. He is a player that is gritty, that is nasty, that does a lot of things that most corners don't want to do. Sounds kind of like a Mike Macdonald corner. If the Seahawks decide to go with an edge rusher like a Keldrick Falk or a Zion Young, or they decide to go with Kayden McDonald at pick number 32, this is someone that you could see the Seahawks taking on day 2 of the NFL draft. And I personally think that Daylen Everette would be a fantastic addition to this Seahawks roster. We went through 5 guys that I believe are targets for the Seahawks. All 5 guys had their top 30 visits with Seattle. If you want to make sure that you are kept up to date with everything with the Seattle Seahawks, and you don't want to miss any other top 30 visits from guys like Kayden McDonald, R. Mason Thomas, Mike Washington Jr., Chris Johnson, or Daylen Everette, the best place to be is on Twitter or on Instagram and giving me a follow at Will Ortner. I have constant videos coming out over on both of those channels. Videos, I have trade rumors that I'll post. Sometimes I'll just have my own hot takes. If you have an opportunity to go and follow me over there, you're going to make sure that you are kept up to date on everything Seattle Seahawks. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. I cannot wait to see you next time.